Welcome back to your latest industry recap. A potential new Boeing order is coming soon. Air France-KLM proceeding with a full takeover of an established airline, and Air India under pressure. Want to begin there with the Indian flag carrier continuing to face pressure from its local governing regulator amid scrutiny following that fatal incident involving a 787 Dreamliner. Much of the recent scrutiny has focused on Air India's budget carrier Air India Express, but could not just be limited to this. This all involves a reprimanding following the failure to replace engine parts on A320 jets promptly. The decision not to conduct this on time followed directions from the European Union's Aviation Safety Agency, which does serve to this day as a very key global regulator to ensure the highest standards of safety right around the world are being applied. Moreover, there has been scrutiny for the falsifying of records to show compliance, which follows a government memo that was shared and aired through an exclusive report by Reuters. The budget carrier stated that it was aware of an error and had communicated this to the Indian watchdog, confirming that remedial action had been taken alongside preventative measures to ensure the issue does not recur. While focus rests on the failure to replace engine parts on the A320 earlier this year, it's not simply an isolated issue. It was also found that the regulator had previously warned Air India for breaching rules concerning flying 3 of its Airbus aircraft with overdue checks on escape slides. Those overdue checks were found as recently as June, but also revealed serious violations of pilot duty timings too. Investigations are still taking place on the fatal accident involving a 787, and while therefore no causes have been officially broadcasted, the Indian flag carrier is naturally under a fine microscope by many. What this means is that previous violations may have, yes, still been uncovered, and while frustrating and would have attracted attention, would not have seen such a strong focus placed had that fatal accident not put Air India into the limelight for all the wrong reasons. These string of latest findings also come at a point where Air India is heavily engaged in turnaround efforts, which are seeing tens of billions put into them in a bid to try and return to their once esteemed status. The concerns to the upkeeping of its fleet are things that must come to a close, especially given the maintenance of the jets should be a priority for any airline no matter the scale, and especially for one of the stature for the likes of Air India. Over to the next story, and Air France-KLM has confirmed its plans to acquire SAS by increasing its stake to a majority ownership. A rise in the stake would bring the total to 60.5% if executed, that massively surpassing the 20% currently held by the major European airline group. The shares required to make this happen are from other companies currently part of the SAS makeup, and this deal is something that's been in the works for some time, as Air France-KLM first expressed interest in acquiring the Scandinavian airline. While it was taken on as a minority stake, the feeling was it was always going to become a majority. At this point, the hope is that the deal will be concluded by the second half of 2026. However, it remains subject to regulatory approval, which according to many may be challenging to overcome. So while this is a time frame that has been put out and is at least internally how long they feel they need to get the deal over the line, it's subject to change. In Europe and extending towards the United States, there has been quite a big focus on consolidation as competition intensifies and smaller airlines seek long-term survival strategies. Within Europe, this consolidation has been crucial, and Air France-KLM sees itself well positioned to compete with other airline groups such as IAG, Lufthansa Group, Ryanair, and EasyJet, among others. For some of your smaller airlines, and by no means is that to say SAS is a small airline, but comparatively speaking to the likes of an Air France or Lufthansa, they certainly are. The way forward for a lot of these maybe more modest airlines is to join these groups and have greater foundations built upon so they have a backing for the future. Look at Spirit Airlines in the US. They feel that consolidation is still required within the US for fear that these low-cost carriers, no matter how big their fleets are, no matter how big their customer base is, they risk being completely overrun by some of your larger groups. If executed, SAS would would formally join the Air France-KLM group and form as a sister airline, leveraging its fleet, geographical positioning, and more to meet demand, but also battle competition probably in a more effective manner, with a greater overarching group watching down on it. At this stage, given the freshness of the intention to fully acquire SAS, the nature of the value of the deal has not been publicly disclosed. However, what was confirmed at the very least is the financial performance of SAS will play a role. While the prospect of SAS joining the Air France-KLM group sounds enticing to many involved, it will not be a smooth process. Many analysts and even executives at the airlines predict quite an uphill battle to obtain formal approval from regulators, which is necessary for the deal to progress to a majority stake. These regulators analyze deals such as those currently in place to mitigate their impact on competitor carriers and limit the effects on passengers, thereby preventing a negative outcome. If regulators find at any point that a takeover would not benefit the parties, they can exercise a motion to block the deal or find a means to alter the set of conditions that was previously laid out. Korean Air and Asiana Airlines are preparing to integrate. However, these two powerhouse airlines still encountered their obstacles and were forced to make changes to their conditions to overcome and gain all the relevant regulatory approval that they desired. Over to the final story, and Boeing appears poised to become a provider of new commercial aircraft to Thai Airways as part of ongoing trade proposals. Discussions of a future Boeing purchase aligned with Thailand's efforts to mitigate escalating trade tensions and seek a mutually beneficial solution with the United States, which is as complicated as ever. As part of this, Thai Airways, the flag carrier, would go on to purchase as many as 80 aircraft from Boeing in the coming years to really solidify its future fleet long into upcoming decades. Details on the proposed purchase of new Boeing planes remain scarce, and much of the possible future contract will come back to how the trade wars unfold. While a new deal would further support Thai Airways thanks to the previously agreed upon deals such as the 787, Boeing knows it's already playing a very big role in the development of the national carrier. The Dreamliner will help enable growth in new markets, while also facilitating potential capacity ramp-ups in existing ones too. Thai Airways says the 787s alone will help cut emissions by a further 25% compared to the aircraft they are replacing, and the decision to buy these jets follows the mass retirement of older, less efficient planes. We can't forget that the national carrier once had a pretty complex fleet portfolio, featuring jets such as the 380 and 747, among others. This mismatch, paired with some pretty poor economic conditions, led to an unfavourable financial position. Now that the airline has restructured, the primary focus is on growth, and there needs to be a way to not only replace the capacity lost through the retirement of older planes, but also to find ways to meet prospective future demand that no doubt Thai Airways is forecasting will emerge. Through these ongoing discussions between Thailand and the United States, Boeing could emerge as a major winner, ensuring it plays a leading role in supporting the future of the flag carrier. But as I'm sure you know, this is a situation that can change at a moment's notice, and no matter how much we love to talk about the airline-aircraft combination, it's not all down to them, more so countries and political stuff, which, to be honest, is not really in my area of expertise, let alone aviation. I don't believe is either. With that being said, that'll conclude today's industry recap. You can let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Maybe the aircraft that you'd like to see Thai Airways go in for, will that finally be the 777X that they've hinted at in recent years, or something else? Take care, be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.